Sunset bathes the tracks as a green train roars closer, the crossing signal blinking its routine rhythm, unaware of the impending crisis. Suddenly, the screech of failed brakes tears through the silence. The driver screams in despair, while a mother with a stroller freezes on the tracks, shadowed by instant death. It's too late. Just as death descends, a mysterious figure slashes through the chaos like lightning, standing alone between the crowd and destruction. Boom! Moving faster than sight, the figure in the brown coat scoops up the child, becoming a blur just seconds before impact. As the dust settles, he kneels and gently checks on the shaken mother, receiving her trembling but sincere gratitude. But when he looks up, he reveals a ghastly skull. A scream pierces the sky. Jiangxi jerks awake in bed, realizing it was just that nightmare again. Clad in pink strawberry pajamas, he stares at his fleshless face in the mirror. Though he's forgotten when he died, he still harbors a gentle dream of belonging. Even a zombie needs hygiene. Brushing teeth, flushing, laundry. He strives to live a disciplined, mundane life just like a normal human. His mind drifts back to the past, when disaster struck without warning, and a massive plane plummeted like a meteor toward a crowded stadium, spreading despair. Amidst the inferno, he carried children through the purgatory. Back then, he lamented his lack of strength to save more lives devoured by the apocalypse. He was once just an ordinary student, overwhelmed by the horde in the school hallway. That moment of fear and helplessness was his last memory as a human. Later, surviving humans retaliated, using zombies as fuel for power. He studied in the dark, trying to understand the mad world's hatred for his kind. To survive, he swore off human flesh and began training like a beast. Running, swimming, dancing, sweat forged his iron will. Finally, he achieved an invincible physique. Yet, despite possessing world-ending power, he now hums a tune while happily cleaning windows in a Santa hat. Oh, no food left. Staring at the empty fridge, Jiangxi rubs his grumbling belly and decides to embark on today's supermarket adventure. On the sunny streets, his disguise is flawless. Even the cashier cheerfully greets this regular customer known as Little Z, unaware of the secret beneath the mask. Loaded with groceries, Jiangxi hums a tune past a luxury store, unaware that two pairs of eyes in the bushes are fixated on him, vowing to unmask him. The stalkers doubt their intel as Jiangxi studies a mysterious list. Suddenly, their pupils dilate in shock, witnessing something utterly impossible. Jiangxi casually pushes with one hand, and the heavy truck flies like a toy, instantly disintegrating and exploding high in the clouds. The terrifying strength is suffocating. The impact even alerts satellites in orbit. In this sealed-off, fallen area, an entity defying all logic is quietly rewriting the rules. In the dim ruins, hunger gnaws its sanity. A zombie mother clutches her starving child, her eyes filled with helpless sorrow as she whispers empty comforts in the endless wait. Meanwhile, Jiangxi clings desperately to the underbelly of a speeding aircraft. A violent tremor shakes him loose, sending him plummeting from the sky toward the war-torn city below. Landing safely, Jiangxi awkwardly explains his lack of driver's license to the zombie kids. To mask his identity, he absurdly claims conquest over the city, enforcing a ridiculous rule: eggs instead of human flesh. But his authority lasts only seconds before he's backed into a corner. 4 terrifying SSS-level boss zombies surround him, filling the air with suffocating oppression. Secretary Blackie breaks the standoff, staring coldly at the terrified Ago. She hands over a document, solemnly announcing the unfortunate news. Ago is back on the human wanted list. The zombie subordinates voice their grievances, one ashamed of losing control, another tired of hiding. A chainsaw-wielding zombie roars in fury, desperate to bathe his rusting weapon in fresh blood. Yet fear spreads, with warnings of human terror. As the deafening roar of engines fills the night sky, the shadow of a human military transport looms, starting the countdown to destruction. Beyond the battlefield's tension, a surreal interlude of recruitment drives and promotional flashes appears, hinting at the absurdity and scale of this chaotic world. A horned girl roars in frustration, breaking the fourth wall to plead for aid from the world beyond, adding a touch of comical desperation to the narrative. The scene shifts to a high-tech command center, heavy with tension. Violet, the president, stands with her back to the room, receiving confirmation that the purge against the zombies is ready to begin. Watching the nuclear warhead timer, Violet's calm facade cracks into a manic smile. She roars with vengeance, ready to let the disgusting zombies taste nuclear annihilation. In the ruins, Jiangxi makes the opposite choice. Holding back his agitated subordinates, he calmly gazes at the sky, ordering the evacuation of civilians while taking the burden of facing the human army alone. Orders fly through the command center as ground armor and air forces advance. The commander issues the final ultimatum: 20 minutes to evacuate before the devastating strike begins. Atop a skyscraper, a blonde warrior receives the interception order. Drawing his blade against the wind, his eyes shine with confidence, vowing to cut down any boss-level zombie that appears. Yet all of this is watched from the shadows. The mad scientist Fei observes the standoff between humans and zombies, a cynical smirk curling his lips. Let the games begin. Desperate cries pierce the sky. Civilians are trapped in hanging cages above a hungry horde. Special forces rush through the hail of gunfire, trying to snatch lives back from the jaws of death. The battle intensifies instantly. Soldiers watch in horror as bullets bounce off the zombies. Anger and anxiety flood the comms as heavy weaponry roars, attempting to shred these undying monsters. A rocket strikes its target with precision, erupting in flames. But as the smoke clears, the commander stares at the file in hand, eyes widening in horror. They just attacked the masked hero. Amidst the thick smoke, the figure rises slowly, unscathed. Simultaneously, alarms blare in the command center. Radar detects a terrifying boss-level signature in Zone B. It is the provoked hero. High above, the skull-masked figure plummets with a wild grin. Adjusting his stance in the howling wind, he dives like a meteor of vengeance, crashing straight into the heart of the battlefield. A conspiracy brews in the control room as the mysterious figure listens to reports. Instead of anger at human resistance, he lets out a chilling laugh, ready to start a far more dangerous game. The order is given, and the demon awakes. Subject 69's eyes glow red as its body mutates violently. With a bone-chilling roar, a colossal monster bursts from the ground, heralding destruction. Meanwhile, a masked skeletal figure stands confused. Suddenly, piercing alarms shatter the silence. A boss zombie in Zone B. Soldiers mobilize instantly. The crisis is imminent. Amidst chaos, the masked figure grabs a soldier, roaring to prioritize survival. Shadows close in as they sprint through the ruins, hearts pounding, scrambling onto the vehicle just ahead of death. As the vehicle speeds away, the atmosphere inside turns awkward. Facing his admirer, the masked hero sweats nervously, while outside, suspicious eyes begin to gather, sensing something amiss. The danger isn't over. In the pouring rain, a speeding train hurtles towards them. In a split second, the blonde fighter instinctively dodges, barely escaping a fatal collision. Dust settles, revealing their savior. The Academy's marshal stands proud, igniting hope in the soldiers. Ordering an evacuation, he faces the terrifying monster alone, radiating immense power. The sniper wonders where the masked figure went, while elsewhere, a silver-haired man grins savagely at the monster. His whispered, "Does it hurt?" drips with chilling cruelty and madness. The monster screams, descending with suffocating pressure. The marshal draws his blade with a sharp clang. Vowing to end it, he transforms into a streak of light, charging head-on. A clash of ultimate speed and power. Air tears apart as blue sword energy sweeps the streets. The marshal becomes a blur, delivering a fatal strike with unwavering conviction. Victory in an instant. Cyan blades flash, cutting the monster's scream short as its massive body collapses. The swordsman sheathes his blade, leaving only a deathly silence in the ruins. Just when he thinks it's over, his gaze falls on a figure by the road. Not a monster, but a hooded zombie. Confusion and alertness flicker in the swordsman's eyes. It's the masked savior. Hearing his kind cleared as a contribution, grief turns to rage. All zombies must die. His roar is a desperate indictment of their cursed fate. Misunderstanding escalates. The masked zombie lashes out, triggering alarms at HQ. Hearing that the marshal has fallen, the violet-haired president stares at the screen, speechlessly shocked. Amidst wreckage, the lonely figure walks away. Chaos erupts in the control room. Signals lost, civilians stranded. Despair spreads like a plague through everyone's hearts. Rage overrides reason. With a cold huff, the president charges recklessly into battle. As a helicopter explodes behind her, she becomes a lightning bolt of vengeance. No one can stop her fury. "President, that's too reckless." Cries fade behind her. Violet, wielding dual blades, streaks across the sky like a meteor. She must see for herself how strong this monster truly is. No words, just lethal intent. White blade screams through the air, slashing viciously at the eerie figure. Two forces collide explosively atop the city skyline, shaking the heavens. Smoke clears, and Violet's eyes widen in disbelief. Her full power strike did nothing. The skeletal figure just shrugs, sticking out his tongue. I already apologized. The battle turns absurd. Atop the skyscraper, Violet's killing intent is colder than her enhanced blade. She never expected this bizarre, skull-masked figure to speak like a human. Giving him no chance to explain, Violet transforms into a red and black lightning bolt, her blade aiming straight for the throat, determined to send this mutant to hell. Red blade cleave erupts. A massive wave of purple energy sweeps through the ruins, the terrifying destructive force instantly engulfing her opponent amidst flying debris and roaring thunder. Though her attack was fierce, Violet's rage remains unquenched. Reports of completed evacuation come through the comms, but deep in the ruins, a sense of unease spreads. Just as communications glitch, the figure appears unharmed in the sky, flashing a mocking gesture, completely ignoring the lethal strike he just took. An aerial dogfight erupts instantly. Facing Violet's roar, the skull-masked man dodges nimbly, retorting with frustrating logic that only fuels her fury. Violet holds nothing back, charging her Iato level 2. Her blade glimmers with heart-stopping cold light as she prepares to end this cat-and-mouse game with absolute power. With a scream that tears through the air, she descends like a meteor. The violent pressure of her blade crushes the buildings below, vowing to grind her enemy into dust. Dust settles. Violet sheathes her blade with arrogance, her purple eyes gleaming with the confidence of victory, unaware that the true crisis is just beginning. Meanwhile, the noise of reality fades briefly. After a short interlude, the story is about to turn a page to something even more heart-stopping. The mission seems complete as Violet arrogantly requests extraction. But in the shadowed command room, Faye's cold stare foreshadows a cruel betrayal about to unfold. The cheers inside the helicopter come to a screeching halt. The spy posing as a comrade presses the devastating button, and the red countdown instantly hits 0. Beneath the blue sky, death reveals its fangs. A massive nuclear warhead breaks free, plummeting toward the innocent city with a mission of total destruction. Chaos erupts in the cabin. Although the traitor is caught, the nightmare news reaches Violet over the radio. The nuke has launched. Doomsday is here. Watching the missile scream downwards, the extraction plane roars in desperation, urging Violet to jump immediately. Every second of hesitation means death. Despair hits instantly. The fierce battle drained all her energy. Violet's legs are now lead-heavy, leaving her helpless as the chance to escape slips away. Suddenly, the skull-masked man, who should have been dead, appears. He grabs the shocked Violet and violently throws her into the open sky. Still in shock, Violet clings to the rescue plane's edge, glaring back at the splash of green left behind in the death zone, her heart filled with rage and confusion. At the critical moment, facing the falling nuke, the seemingly tiny figure stands quietly on the street, casually reaching out his hands, ready to catch destruction. Amidst the smoke, a figure in a green suit lets out a deafening roar, diving like a streak of light to obliterate the buildings below. As the countdown hits 0, the figure, wrapped in green energy, tears through the sky, racing to intercept the warhead plummeting toward the city. The impossible happens. He catches the nuke barehanded. In the control room, Violet's eyes widen in disbelief as shockwaves ripple through everyone watching the screens. Suddenly, blinding fire consumes everything, the massive shockwave knocking Violet off her feet as a mushroom cloud rises in the distance. The explosion tears the earth apart, and amidst the flames, the ground collapses, revealing a suffocating, massive presence awakening from the depths. As the dust settles, the terrifying monster stands up casually, dusting himself off and grumbling that the explosion only made his butt itch. The scene shifts, as if breaking the fourth wall, echoing with an angry, desperate scream protesting the endless battle and cost. Meanwhile, in the Beyonder Academy's control room, the white-haired commander watches coldly, declaring that the time for action has officially arrived. As the helicopter cuts through the sky, Violet sits deep in thought while her team fiercely debates whether the monster who saved her is friend or foe. The city is far from calm despite the masked hero's appearance. Panic spreads as people try to flee or stare up from the streets in confusion. In the shadows, a mysterious force tightens its net, and as the coordinates lock on the screen, a cold countdown begins once again. Back at the apartment, Violet and her team freeze as they step out of the elevator. The skeletal figure instantly inflates himself into a muscular hulk. A photo frame in the corner captures a hidden past, where the masked figure once stood shoulder to shoulder with grotesque monsters like family. The moment of nostalgia instantly shifts to chaos as he frantically orders his minions to strip the house bare, taking everything down to the pots and pans. With undeniable authority, Violet slaps the admission letter in front of him, seeing right through his clumsy disguise and forcibly recruiting him. With the armored car waiting below, Violet dismisses her companion's concerns about the lack of dorm beds, seemingly having a plan for the captured Jiangxi. A confident smile plays on her lips as she drops a bombshell decision. He will be staying directly in her room. The move is swift and efficient. When silence returns, Violet looks down with amusement at Jiangxi, who has been wrapped up like a mummy and dumped on the floor. Facing the mummy, pitifully asking about his sleeping spot, Violet leans in, her smile dangerous and imposing. "Why? Are you hoping to sleep with me?" Jiangxi waves his hands in panic, terrified at the thought of sleeping with a human. Violet shoots him a cold glare, gripping her sword as she calmly clarifies he'll take the guest room, instantly crushing his wild delusions. Staring at her mechanical limbs, Jiangxi can't help but ask. Violet calmly drops the bombshell that she amputated them herself, her mind drifting back to the nightmare of her childhood consumed by flames. To survive her zombie parents, the young girl severed her own legs and ended their lives. Now, her violet eyes hold no tears, only bone-deep hatred and a vow to slaughter every zombie in her path. Facing Violet's death stare, Jiangxi plays dumb immediately. Violet lets it slide, coldly introducing the Beyonder Academy dedicated to fighting zombies, mentioning the apocalypse that has lasted 1,000 years. Looking out at the futuristic metropolis, Jiangxi is struck by a wave of realization. This fortress was built 2 centuries after he turned, meaning he, the progenitor, has been wandering for a whole millennium. Violet leaves no room for refusal, forcefully informing him that he's enrolled and fleeing means legal trouble. She mentions an acquaintance will pick him up, freezing Jiangxi in a state of confusion and dread. Under the sunlight, a red-haired girl with twin tails stands proudly high above the city, her energetic silhouette heralding the arrival of a new character in a gathering storm. Meanwhile, beyond the fourth wall in the real world, forces are gathering and recruiting, as if stockpiling strength for the coming war. At the academy gate, the pink-haired Xiao Xiao instantly recognizes the masked weirdo and excitedly bounds over. Jiangxi, however, just wants to play dead, his face behind a mask filled with annoyance and resignation. Xiao Xiao mentally mocks this fool as she leads the way, then smugly informs him that this isn't a normal school. He'll have to survive brutal zombie combat tests. Hearing that he needs to beat world records just to pass, Jiangxi is dumbfounded. He miserably realizes that what he thought was a mental hospital is actually a superhuman academy full of monsters. The playground is packed with ability users. A bulky man blocks the view and spews insults. The test hasn't even started, yet the air is already thick with the smell of gunpowder. Though Xiao Xiao is confident in her plane-lifting strength, seeing the surrounding monsters makes her anxious. Suddenly, a dignified cough cuts through the chatter. The head honcho has arrived. One-eyed President Chun stands on the podium, his booming voice recounting the Academy's long history against the Zombie King. His imposing aura silences the crowd as he emphasizes their mission to surpass the ancients. Jiangxi daringly asks what happens if a zombie sneaks in, and the principal coldly replies with a brutal solution: castration and public display. The words strike like lightning, leaving Jiangxi sweating bullets and nodding frantically to play the good student. There's no warm-up here. With the explosive crack of the instructor's starting pistol, the physical screening that determines their fate officially begins. The red-haired boy tears through the air like a cannonball, crossing the 100-meter finish line in just 3 seconds. The massive shockwave knocks bystanders down, leaving Jiangxi frozen, realizing his classmates are human monsters. Next up is live fire. Jiangxi grips the gun, recalling the absurd days of learning to kill his own kind. Meanwhile, Xiao Xiao calmly pulls the trigger while sprinting at high speed, her gunfire roaring like a dragon. The airborne targets are shattered into splinters. Xiao Xiao hums a tune, satisfied with her perfect performance. Watching this violent display, Jiang Si gulps, feeling the pressure to survive skyrocket. The story is about to unfold. Behind the passionate recruitment call lies not just a translation of words, but a thirst for the unknown and a manic cry. The atmosphere at the exam site is tense, with contestants roaring in excitement. Yet in the corner, the skull-masked Jiang Si sweats nervously, terrified of exposing his true strength. Although Jiang Si deliberately suppressed his power to blend in, his perfect physical stats still caused the examiner to frown, raising a cloud of deep suspicion. Meanwhile, on another field, a gale roars as a red-haired youth turns into a blur, shattering the target instantly and demonstrating the terrifying destructive power of the Academy's elite. Immediately after, a cyborg soars into the sky, accurately smashing into a distant sign at high speed, while the examiner calmly records this perfect flight data. Finally, it's Jiang Si's turn. He takes a deep breath to throw, but the examiner suddenly shouts, "Wait," his sharp gaze piercing through as if seeing everything. "Are you really human?" Faced with this soul-piercing interrogation, Jiang Si frantically tries to explain, while everyone holds their breath, waiting for the truth. Crisis escalates. The examiner issues an ultimatum: show the legendary strength or face severe punishment as a spy. Jiang Si is backed into a corner with no retreat. Memories flood back. Since laying low is impossible, unleash it all. Beneath the mask, Jiang Si's right eye suddenly flares with crimson light. The monster within awakens. The ground cracks. Jiang Si shoots out like an arrow, his terrifying speed whipping up a gale. Bystanders scream in horror, witnessing this destructive sprint. The power pierces the sky, striking deep into space. An innocent satellite shatters instantly, while the massive shockwave tosses people on the ground like leaves. The world changes color. As the dust settles, the examiner stares in shock at the ominous figure in the ruins. Even the moon trembles. This strike announces the arrival of the king. A thrilling test comes to an end, but for these extraordinaries, it is merely a brief footnote in their chaotic daily lives. A new storm is brewing. On the street, the red-haired twin-tail girl, Xiao Xiao, smiles eerily, radiating a purple aura that terrifies passersby, sending them screaming and scattering in fear. In the shadows, a mutated monster waits to strike. Observers whisper, marveling at Xiao Xiao's genetic power that remains berserk despite her severe injuries. Battle erupts. Xiao Xiao moves like lightning, smashing her heavy fist into the monster's skull. Accompanied by the sound of shattering bones and rising dust, violent aesthetics explode instantly. The once arrogant monster now grovels on the ground, begging for mercy. Xiao Xiao looks down coldly with her massive weapon, a cruel mockery curling at the corner of her mouth. Just as victory seems decided, a sudden twist. The monster launches a sneak attack. Xiao Xiao's eyes widen in horror. No one expected this cunning counterstrike. Rain lashes the battlefield as the masked man screams in fury. He blames Xiao Xiao for the drug's failure, and as the massive wolf monster regenerates in the downpour, despair spreads among them. A manic laugh echoes from the darkness. Watching the feed, the villain revels in the chaos, ruthlessly ordering the slaughter while savoring the desperate cries for help. The villain's smile freezes as he spots an intruder. Meanwhile, a monstrous claw descends with rattling chains, casting a shadow of death over the fleeing trio. As the villain incites the monster's bloodlust, a figure in a wooden mask steps forward. He whispers the monster's name, his tone carrying a chilling familiarity. The rampaging monster freezes, ignoring the villain's screams. Faced with the masked man's absurd claim about recruiting him, the beast bursts in at thunderous laughter, shifting the atmosphere instantly. The monster's mockery is cut short by a crushing pressure. Arrogance turns to pained groans as cold sweat drips down. His massive frame trembles in terror, having wet himself in fear. A brief interlude flashes by. A sketch of a mysterious girl with golden hair and red eyes, a momentary breath amidst the intense battle. In a world where strength rules, there is no respite. The villain screams for an attack, while the mysterious figure glows with a colorful aura, awakening an ancient power. The chainsaw zombie tries to flex his power, but is instantly crushed. An invisible force buries him deep into the rubble, leaving only debris and panic in his wake. Dust settles to reveal a chilling smile. Jiang Si pins the monster's head with one hand, his red eyes gleaming with cold mockery as he teaches the beast the true meaning of obedience. Facing the question, A gruesome memory flashes through Jiang Si's mind, the agony of his immortal body being sliced into sashimi. That humiliation now fuels an uncontrollable rage. The villain screams for an attack, but his invincible monster is already broken. Shrieking in terror, the beast refuses and flees in a cloud of dust, leaving its master's dignity in the dirt. The villain's reality shatters as his control fails. Silence falls over the street. The man stands motionless among the unconscious bodies, looking like an insurmountable god. The villain refuses to yield, but his partner stops him cold. The roar of an engine fills the sky as a military helicopter descends. The academy leaders have arrived. The blue-haired woman frets over the massive search area, but her partner scoffs. Hand on his hilt, eyes cold, he believes that absolute strength is the only key needed to solve any problem. Without a word, he jumps. Ignoring his partner's curses, he falls like a meteor, his sword tearing through the air, plunging toward the ground with earth-shattering momentum. The earth shakes with a deafening boom as dust swallows the building. When it clears, the structure is reduced to rubble. Standing atop the ruins, he coolly whispers, "Done." Despite the success, the blue-haired woman is furious at his mindless violence. He brushes off her scolding, convinced that before absolute power, all traps and schemes are meaningless. Leaving the cleanup to her, he glides away with casual arrogance. Behind him, the woman is left fuming, screaming her frustration into the empty sky. Night falls, but the danger escalates. Elite forces have set a trap in the industrial zone. Cold gun barrels aim into the darkness. The hunt for the non-human begins. The encirclement yielded nothing? The armored commander is in disbelief. With a total blockade of land, sea, and air, how could the target vanish into thin air? Meanwhile, the haughty Lanchi scoffs at her superior's orders, threatening to curse them. In the shadows, Faye watches the monitors and coldly commands, "Execute Plan A." The swordsman finds a tank labeled with a taunt, "Open if you're a man." Easily provoked, he orders a soldier to blow it up, but a sudden hold it stops them. The trap failed? Faye's eyes narrow as he decisively presses the button for Plan B. The countdown hits 0, and a massive crisis instantly engulfs the swordsman. Amidst the flames, the swordsman mocks the trap and scathed. But Faye smiles eerily as a forbidden lock is released. Manic laughter fills the sky, a declaration of humanity's end. As the smoke clears, the demon, meant to destroy humanity, appears. Everyone's eyes widen in shock. The terrifying zombie king is just a snot-nosed brat? Don't be fooled by appearances. The veteran fighter knows the danger. The swordsman's gaze sharpens, and he instantly transforms into a whirlwind, slashing his steel blade at the small zombie. The situation spirals out of control, the order to retreat drowned out by screams. Soldiers flee in panic, but one man charges against the tide, roaring as he rushes toward the blood-red eyes in the darkness. These monsters are anything but normal. Wearing eerie masks, their bodies split open like zippers to reveal nauseating innards as they relentlessly pursue their prey. Back in Chapter 24, to create chaos for their escape, the humans in the control room release a horde of zombies. On the empty streets, a malicious, man-made disaster is brewing. Zombies rain down from the sky, their numbers overwhelming. Just as her companion panics to set up defense, the blue-haired witch Lanchi coldly stops him. "Stand back. Just watch." She elegantly adjusts her hair, her golden staff gleaming with cold light. Facing the roaring horde, Lanchi smirks with the confidence of a top-tier fighter. Time for a warm-up. The golden staff becomes a bolt of destruction, every swing accompanied by the crunch of shattering bones. She dances through the horde, leaving only flying limbs and explosive dust in her wake. Boom! A massive burst of energy swallows everything, shocking her teammate mid-cake bite. As the dust settles, Lanchi's figure falls elegantly from the sky. What a mess! Though the city is wrecked, she stands proud, demanding praise. Meanwhile, the masterminds behind the zombie release watch their pawns get wiped out, fuming with rage. Meanwhile, hunting for the rogue chainsaw zombie, Jiang sees Secretary Blackie and go roam the streets in disguise. They ask a random zombie for directions, only to be rudely told to get lost. Are all zombies this rude nowadays? Blackie sighs. If they don't find the runaway troublemaker, the boss will be furious. Meanwhile, the target sits in a human base, innocently asking to play more. Play my ass. Thoroughly provoked, the swordsman unleashes another earth-shattering strike. Yet, as the dust clears, the little zombie pops up unscathed, cheerfully shouting, "Tada!" Losing his cool, The swordsman roars and leaps high, vowing to slice this mocking monster in two. The blade connects solidly, but his expression instantly freezes from rage to horror. Something feels wrong. Shouts of disbelief shatter the silence as the warriors witness something defying all logic. The mysterious woman isn't falling but floating in a twisted, eerie posture that sends shivers down their spines. She perches composedly atop the bookshelf, a stitched smile carving across her pale face. Her red eyes gleam with playful malice, her tone light yet heavy with threat, like a predator toying with prey. Provoked by her taunting allure, the white-clad swordsman ignites with rage. He spins around, eyes burning with killing intent, vowing to slice this arrogant monster into shreds. The twin blades slash down with lethal force, only to halt abruptly on impact. The swordsman's eyes widen in shock. She has stopped his thunderous strike effortlessly with just a single, pale hand. As cries for help ring out, the black-robed man watches coldly while a massive mechanical suit descends with a boom. Yet, in a heartbeat, the mysterious woman becomes a blur, landing a heavy kick that sends the iron beast staggering. Meanwhile, a deafening crash echoes across the city. The top of a skyscraper instantly erupts in flames, sending terrifying shockwaves through the streets and freezing everyone in stunned horror at the source of destruction. While disguised zombies mock the carnage with cynical indifference, Violet, the leader of the extraordinary, recognizes a figure instantly. She cries out in alarm, realizing this explosion involves a key figure from the highest level of the academy. Amidst the smoke and ruins, the massive figure gasps in pain, sparking Violet's suspicion of a zombie. Yet, on a nearby rooftop, a black-haired woman stretches lazily, completely indifferent to the unfolding crisis. In another corner of the city, the scene shifts absurdly to a picnic beside a tank. The mysterious President Zombie complains his tea is too dry, sending his waiter into a rage against the backdrop of war. Demanding quality tea, he absurdly orders an aircraft delivery. But as his hood falls back, revealing a ghastly, ferocious face, a terrifying aura of rage erupts, instantly freezing the air around him. Facing the grotesque, massive zombie radiating terror, Violet decisively proposes a truce to join forces. Meanwhile, explosions from deep underground grow louder and closer, signaling a greater crisis about to burst forth. Atop the high-rise, the green-haired masked figure watches silently. Standing tall, with a calm but decisive tone, he resolves to personally investigate the source of the chaos. The battle instantly hits fever pitch. Seizing an opening, the blue-haired girl unleashes a furious energy beam. Caught off guard, Jiangxi takes the heavy blow squarely on his back, his body shuddering violently from the massive impact. The purple-haired woman follows up with a lightning-fast raid, only to be ruthlessly blown back by a wave from Jiangxi's single hand. Watching his opponent fly back in disarray, Jiangxi smirks, offering only a dismissive passable speed. Reeling from the heavy blow, she tumbles awkwardly through the air, eyes filled with frustration as she struggles to stabilize. The terrifying man simply shakes his head coldly, mocking her attack for being flashy but lacking true power. The blue-haired girl presses the attack relentlessly. Meanwhile, on a nearby platform, the man with the red headband stands arms crossed, exuding confidence. He is charging a powerful move, needing his allies to buy him just 2 critical minutes. With a roar, the backup mech unit activates, gold and gray mechanical parts rapidly encasing his body. Witnessing this transformation, Jiangxi doesn't stop him, but instead smiles with excitement, as if he's found a new toy. The heart of steel, heavy armor stands tall, its red core flashing dangerously. The battlefield descends into chaos, with roars of warriors intertwining with engine hums, everyone seeing red and vowing to crush their enemies. Just as the battle deadlocks, a piercing scream tears through the sky. The ground explodes violently as a massive, sky-blotting black claw bursts forth, its terrifying shockwave instantly sending all nearby warriors flying like ragdolls. As the dust settles, a laughing demon beast reveals itself, looking down arrogantly at the tiny humans. Amidst this utter chaos and despair, only the black-haired man curls his lip into a meaningful sneer, as if everything is under his control. Amidst the ruins, dust swirls. The behemoth roars deafeningly, attempting to end it in one hit, while the armored warrior stands fearless, ready for the final clash. 2 forces collide in midair, unleashing a terrifying shockwave. Even the battle-hardened Violet is blown back violently, as distant bystanders watch the destructive scene in shock. As the dust settles, the warrior believes victory is his, only to hear a demonic whisper. The enemy stands tall, evolving into a more gruesome form, heralding the arrival of despair. On a sunny city rooftop, Jiangxi blends into the crowd, overlooking the metropolis. The air carries a familiar scent of decay, the smell of his own kind. In the street, the monster claiming to be king flexes, instantly transforming into his full combat form. The terrifying pressure drains the color from the students' faces, leaving them paralyzed with fear. Resistance is merely the struggle of ants. The monster sneers, turning into a blur, ignoring their siege and displaying absolute, despair-inducing power. With just a flick of a finger, skyscrapers crumble and debris flies. Before absolute power, the Academy's elites are crushed like broken kites, blood staining the ground. Just as the defense line collapses, a black shadow silently cuts into the battlefield. Jiangxi catches a fallen ally, his eyes under the hood watching coldly as killing intent builds in silence. Amidst the smoke, the demon arrogantly looks down on the wounded. Lanchi finally recognizes the source of this nightmare. It is the artificial zombie king created by the mad Professor Jamie. At his command, countless zombies flood the streets like a tide. The city instantly becomes a living hell. Facing this endless horde, Violet grits her teeth and orders a retreat. The horde charges wildly as the fake king laughs maniacally, reveling in the slaughter. Lanchi is knocked to the ground, her face full of disbelief as order completely collapses. Scram! Jiangxi erupts with a roar, unleashing pressure from deep within his bloodline. The frenzied horde freezes instantly, trembling at the feet of the true king. On the high platform, the impostor continues to clamor. Jiangxi slowly looks up, a cruel smile curling his lips. If you are the zombie king, then what does that make me? He crushes the zombie beneath his foot, his gaze cold as iron. Amidst these ruins, the question of who is the true master is about to receive a bloody answer. In a flash, the victor is decided. Jiangxi sits on the edge of the pit, surrounded by fallen bodies. He sighs casually, as if he had just finished a light warm-up. Jiangxi removes his disguise, revealing pale skin and scarlet eyes. He looks mockingly at his arrogant opponent. What's wrong? Where did all that bravado go? The truth sends shockwaves through the crowd. Xiao Xiao cannot accept the reality of a zombie vice president. In the center of the battlefield, the standoff between the true and fake zombie kings freezes the air. The imposter roars and charges, but the attack capable of tearing apart tanks looks sluggish to Jiangxi. He dodges effortlessly, tossing out a casual taunt. Have you not eaten? Go get full before you try again. With a thunderous boom, Jiangxi, without even using his full strength, blasts his opponent beyond the skyline like a baseball. The tranquil coastline is instantly shattered by a heart-stopping roar from the deep. Towering waves tear through warships like beasts, drowning soldiers' desperate screams and explosions, while amidst the ruins, a figure groans in agony. Scientists stare at the screen in terror. The red-eyed monster is unscathed. Laughing maniacally, he leaps from the sea, tearing through a massive submarine with bare hands. Amidst the screeching metal, girls on the deck scream in despair. A deafening boom echoes as the skyscraper crumbles under impact. The monster merely smirks, refusing to feed, and casually hurls the submarine wreckage into the city, swallowing everything in a cloud of dust. Staring at the apocalyptic scene, cold sweat runs down their faces, pupils dilating in terror. Fear takes over. The only thought is to flee this crumbling city, as every second counts. Suddenly, the bandaged giant grabs the welder, halting the sparks. Ignoring the man's confusion, he points toward the chaotic plaza below, an invisible aura of a king spreading through the air. The red-haired man rages at the interruption, but senses approaching bloodlust. Above the city, a green figure streaks through the air on hover rings. Is it reinforcement arriving in the nick of time, or a new threat? The girl screams a familiar name in shock, only to be met with the monster's cold sneer. In a flash, a whip strikes from above like a viper, tightly ensnaring the beast. The battle erupts instantly. Why are you running? Amidst the roar, the whip blurs into motion, sending the self-proclaimed zombie flying. The massive impact rings a scream from the monster, while doubts echo in the air, the relentless pursuit leaving no room to breathe. Trapped in midair, the monster struggles to fight back, only to be met with a colder sneer. Before the words settle, the figure dives like a meteor, bringing destructive force to deliver a fatal blow to the imposter. A massive cylinder plummets from the sky, crashing into the city and kicking up dust. Amidst the chaos, the gray-haired, red-eyed enemy grins maniacally, transforming into a crimson streak of energy that carves an eerie arc over the ruins. I'm just changing the battlefield. The monster roars as it plunges into the sea, raising massive waves. Meanwhile, the pursuer lands steadily on a rooftop, while on a nearby warship, soldiers watch the flying man in bewildered suspense. Before any explanation, fear scatters the soldiers as they scream, "Zombie!" Above the sea, the real red-eyed monster surfaces, watching the absurd scene with a mocking sneer curling his lips. Run! No one can beat that monster. The young man's sanity teeters on the edge, only to be coldly cut off by the man in the black suit. Gazing into the distance, his eyes shine with fanatical devotion. Watch closely. No one can defeat our king, not even a god. A gale sweeps the carrier deck. The enemy's speed surges instantly. Before any reaction, a fist charged with terrifying kinetic energy slams home, too fast for even an afterimage, leaving only the dull thud of impact. In a split second, the battlefield shifts to outer space, with the blue Earth spinning behind, and before he can grasp the situation, a heavier blow lands, twisting his arrogant face in the agony of the vacuum. A massive black hand looms over the floating warship like divine judgment. With no room for resistance, terrifying power erupts in space, crushing the enemy's face into a shockwave of black smoke that dissipates into the galaxy. People on the ground gape in horror, witnessing the impossible. The massive aircraft carrier pierces the lunar surface like a javelin. Dust explodes hundreds of thousands of kilometers away. Humanity's understanding of reality collapses in this instant. Atop the freezing peaks, maniacal laughter pierces the biting blizzard. The figure pins the soldier to the snow like a demon, while behind him, a massive warship slowly emerges from the crevice, carrying the scent of conspiracy. It's useless. There's nowhere to run. Despair spreads through the crowd, unstoppable like the monster roaring in the downpour. The view zooms out to the vast starry sky, where the shadow of true destruction quietly closes in on Earth. A colossal shadow looms over Earth as crisis descends from the stars. Above the carrier, a crimson streak tears through the sky, bringing with it a maniacal laugh and the promise of total destruction. No time to react. A massive shockwave sends soldiers flying across the deck. The monster charges with feral eyes, aiming straight for the carrier's heart, the nuclear reactor. Have a taste of this. With a roar, the devastating blow lands. The steel behemoth groans, losing its balance against the unstoppable force, plunging towards the Earth in a shroud of fire. Apocalyptic thunder tears through the clouds. People in the city gaze up in terror as the massive ship crashes like a meteor. The ground trembles, and fire instantly swallows everything. Waves surge as the warship sinks into the icy sea. Yet, atop the tilting wreckage, the man stands tall, laughing mockingly. What's wrong? I thought you had more in you. As the smoke clears, the enemy stands unscathed, coldly dusting himself off. Behind distant rocks, the survivors gasp for air, their eyes wide with the terror of a near-death escape. It's not over yet. On the shattered ice field, another figure approaches rapidly, but he brings a chilling proposal instead of an attack. Since we are the same kind, why not destroy this world together? Despair pierces the city's heart like the massive black pillar. Faced with this arrogant declaration to divide the world, even the distant naval fleet is dismissed as insignificant ants. Human resistance feels hopelessly pale. Witnessing this, the onlookers break down completely. This isn't a battle, it's a slaughter. Torn between logic and fear, they make the only choice left. Flee the battlefield of these two monsters. Shut up, weakling. The man in black closes in instantly, crushing all doubt with a single hand. The contempt in his eyes is as sharp as a blade, mocking their laughable confidence. On the rooftop, the wind howls. With his back to the bustling city, he looks down alone at the world beneath his feet, leaving a cold verdict. You are not worthy. Meanwhile, in a hidden, massive facility, despair is spreading. The observer at the screen wears a grave expression, as if witnessing an irreversible endgame. Facing imminent execution, the white-haired madman, Fei, grins menacingly. He has already moved his vital research data, his final bargaining chip in this gamble with death. Inside the cage, the conspiracy festers. Unable to defeat the monster directly, they turn their eyes to a matter plan. finding a vessel capable of holding the ultimate genes. It's an utter humiliation. The former genius is now force-fed like livestock by a robot. The door bursts open, and a boy's gasp pierces the suffocating scene. Brother Fei? Even while eating, the wiretap in his mouth records everything. The puppet master behind the scenes coldly presses for the crucial answer. Where exactly is the zombie king's corpse? The intelligence is finally secured. The man in the white coat looks down at the struggling prisoner with zero mercy, only greed and a desire to control the mysterious vessel. Back in the city, Jiangxi receives a call that terrifies him to his core. Not a monster, not a nuke, but something far worse. The provincial auditor is coming to inspect his zombie city. It's over. All over. If his disguise fails, he's dead meat. The invincible powerhouse runs through the streets like a headless chicken, plunging into an unprecedented career crisis. But the gears of fate are already turning. Elsewhere, the stern Inspector Chun is suited up and ready. As the plane cuts through the clear sky, a cat-and-mouse game of identity and secrets is about to begin. Inspector Chun lets out a cold snort, her single visible eye filled with disdain. To her, this President Zombie is nothing but a spineless weakling, and she arrives with one goal: to fire him. Meanwhile, chaos erupts in the skies above. Cars tumble through the air like discarded toys, leaving onlookers staring in shock at the sudden destruction. Alarm bells ring. The city manager screams desperate orders. Every zombie must disguise themselves immediately. Inspector Chun is coming, and their true nature must remain hidden. It's a race against time. Even the stoic managers are forced to grab lipstick, clumsily applying makeup in a desperate, absurd attempt to pass as human. In the square, zombies line up for human disguise kits. A mother silences her curious child, painting over her green skin to hide their monstrous nature for the sake of survival. Back in the office, Blackie stares in disbelief. The monstrous Ago attempts a disguise that barely covers his muscles. It's an insult to human intelligence, but it's all they have. Desperate measures are taken. Blackie forces the most monstrous of them onto leashes, parading his fierce comrades as mere pets while anxiously waiting for the inspection team. Unaware of the charade, Inspector Chun strides through the streets, mocking the president's weakness. Her subordinates whisper behind her back, questioning her irrational bias. Hearing the whispers, Chun snaps back, her eyes burning with fanaticism. She declares that only the legendary Lord Overseer possesses the dignity to lead humanity to glory. The inspection begins. Chen's team stands ready, hoping for the return of their mysterious hero, unaware that the entire city around them is a fabricated lie. The disguise is strained. Zombies wait impatiently on rooftops, while in a shop, a naive child asks awkward questions about the egg-obsessed city, forcing the shopkeeper to play deaf. Confronted by the inspector, a citizen praises the president's kindness before dramatically dropping dead. The terrible acting leaves the investigator utterly baffled. Disaster strikes, an arm falls off. Though the zombie laughs it off with a clumsy excuse, Chun is now convinced. This city isn't normal, it's populated by total lunatics. Chun furiously records evidence to impeach the president. Meanwhile, back in the office, Jiangxi trembles violently at his desk, a catastrophic crisis brewing within his own body. The culprit reveals itself. Breakfast. The scrambled eggs were laced with spicy chilies, a forbidden substance for the zombie king that is rapidly devouring his sanity. A shadowy observer smirks. For Jiangxi, chili acts as a superstimulant. He is about to enter berserk mode for an entire month, becoming a mindless beast of destruction. Blackie turns pale with terror upon hearing the news. If the berserk king encounters the inspection team, it won't be a political scandal. It will be a massacre. Just as Chun prepares to leave in disappointment, the sky darkens. A massive truck plummets from above, smashing into the street with earth-shattering force. From the dust emerges a nightmare. With a demonic grin stretching ear to ear, the berserk Jiangxi locks eyes with the terrified inspector. Now, he hisses, "Let me take you on a real tour." Just moments ago, a suffocating aura swept through the street. Two agents stand frozen, cold sweat soaking their backs, the terrifying image branded into their minds, leaving them trembling in disbelief. Memory and reality blur, shifting into a frozen wasteland. Inspector Chun turns in terror. The dark figure standing above feels like a familiar nightmare, his glowing eye sockets burning with the rage of being forgotten. "I am Zombie." The man sheds his disguise, revealing a cracked face and an eerie grin. The agent's reality shatters instantly. The legendary monster is standing right before their eyes. Jiangxi raises a hand to stop them, backed by bizarre followers holding trays. He offers a can of spicy eggs with a cheerful yet bone-chilling tone. Don't worry, we don't eat people. Let's change the venue. Before the words settle, Jiangxi grabs Inspector Chun and rockets into the sky. Gravity vanishes, replaced by roaring wind and Chen's piercing scream as they blast into the clouds. Jaws drop on the ground as bystanders gaze at the speck vanishing into the horizon. High above, Jiangxi hovers like a god, while a terrified Inspector Chen stares helplessly at the miniature city beneath her feet. This is my city. Standing on the skyscraper's edge, wind whipping his hair, Jiangxi looks down proudly at the steel jungle. He shows Chun the orderly chaos below, his eyes filled with the confidence of absolute control. In this city, rules are absolute. The scene shifts to a traffic violator staring in horror at his own severed leg, as Jiangxi's ruthless face looms in the car window like a grim executioner. Chaos erupts as the figure in the green scarf dives like lightning. Cars flip, and a massive mechanical spider descends, pinning the vehicle in midair while bystanders scream, witnessing this inhuman enforcement. Walls crumble as a battered thug is tossed out like trash. Facing Chen's accusation of murder, Jiangxi sneers, flanked by his monstrous subordinates, radiating an overwhelming sense of oppression. On the empty street, Jiangxi stands alone, blocking the entire investigation team. His eyes are cold, his tone dripping with undeniable authority. I know why you're here, but today, I make the rules. This city is mine, and no one can stop me. Behind Jiangxi, massive monsters and superhumans line up. His single exposed red eye glints fiercely as he delivers his final ultimatum to Inspector Chun. Chapter 45 opens with Jiangxi hanging casually from the skyscraper's exterior. At this dizzying height, he looks provocatively at the arrogant challengers. You want to see what I'm truly capable of? Witnessing the spectacle, the agent's legs go numb uncontrollably. They exchange terrified glances, voices trembling. That guy, is that really something a human can do? Fear spreads wildly in their hearts. The intel was dead wrong. How is the man walking on air a weakling? The agents curse the informant in fury, but Inspector Chun grits her teeth, refusing to give up, and roars at the retreating back. Hold it. Only with enough strength can you protect a city. Before Chen's words settle, the air freezes. Jiangxi's monster legion materializes instantly, their ferocious killing intent brutally cutting short her ridiculous lecture. A massive hand roughly clamps over Inspector Chen's mouth, stifling her scream. Jiangxi turns slowly, battle spirit igniting in his red eye, a confident smirk curling his lips. Then let me show you. Sure. Jiangxi agrees too easily, making the air feel even heavier. By the beach, even his own subordinates feel a chill of unease, as if an uncontrollable disaster is about to be unleashed. See winds howl as Jiangxi turns his back, a phantom of massive black wings unfurling behind him, blotting out the sun. His subordinate warns Chun, whatever happens next is on you. Despair begins to rise. The earth trembles as countless rocks defy gravity and float upward. The agents watch in horror. Jiangxi simply stands there, yet the world around him begins to fracture. This power is no longer human. As dark power awakens within Jiangxi, terrifying black wings unfurl behind him, triggering uncontrollable screams as fear instantly swallows all reason. A lonely cliff stands against the blue sky, a calm before the storm, waiting for the earth-shattering events about to unfold. The monstrous waves roaring to devour everything are instantly frozen by an absolute power, as if time itself has solidified in this moment. Jiangxi stands on the shattered earth, radiating a terrifying pressure that makes the air heavy. Enemies are blown back in panic, struggling even to breathe. As the dust of the explosion settles, the defeated struggle to rise from the ruins, their eyes filled with confusion and trembling fear regarding the figure that suddenly vanished. Inspector Chen looks through the telescope, and her pupils constrict violently. Seeing something beyond logic, she drops the equipment in sheer shock. Not just on Earth, but pulled into deep space, that man is above Saturn's rings. This dimensional dominance completely shatters her worldview. People in the observation room gape in cold sweat, watching the man floating in the vacuum of space with a glowing hand, realizing with despair that no human can oppose this. Jiangxi throws a punch from space, crossing the stellar distance with destructive kinetic energy, as if to pulverize everything standing in his way. The ground battle is equally brutal. Enemy defenses crumble like paper wherever his fist lands, their cries of pain drowned out by the roar of impact. A blinding blue beam pierces heaven and earth, shooting from the ground to the sky with a deafening roar, making the entire city tremble under this godlike energy. The base shakes violently amidst piercing alarms. A civilization-ending tsunami is approaching, and despair spreads through everyone's heart. On the main screen, monstrous waves ruthlessly devour the city, while red maximum defense alerts flash like a countdown to the apocalypse. After the storm settles, Jiangxi kneels alone in the ruins, the frozen disaster behind him. His eyes, visible through the mask, stare coldly ahead with undeniable arrogance. A new chapter begins as even greater power brews, a terrifying potential capable of reversing fate and transforming the weak. Faced with such an inhuman existence, the human elite can only watch in fear as Jiangxi leaves boldly with a monster go, having lost all courage to intervene. Wheels spin on the highway as zombies enjoy this eerie victory, while deep underground on the other side of the world, a new conspiracy quietly breeds in the darkness. In the dim laboratory, scientists surround the corpse of the zombie king known as a god, their eyes filled with greed and fanaticism, masking any awe for the taboo. Gloved hands precisely mix the resurrection serum. This life-desecrating experiment proceeds methodically under cold orders, each step leading further into the abyss. The needle pierces gray skin, forcing the fluid in. Just then, someone roars in anger, but the forbidden monster seems to have already opened its eyes in agony. Crisis strikes without warning. The red core pulses, and doom arrives in a deafening explosion. Amidst blaring alarms, the pilot screams in terror as his world is consumed by fire. Smoke clears to reveal a grotesque beast amidst the warnings. The masked man stares with fanatical ambition, vowing to forge this creature into a killing machine to rival the zombie king. High above the clouds, a mysterious black monolith floats silently. Like an ancient specter, it hovers over the flight path, watching the world below with a cold, ominous gaze. Peace shatters as violence breaches the window, letting the gale rush in. Gunmen seize the cabin, silencing screaming passengers with the cold, paralyzing threat of death. The silver-haired queen stands barefoot by the broken window, unfazed by the wind. She dismisses the bomb threat with a sneer, her golden eyes mocking human technology as mere parlor tricks. On command, the cloaked figures plunge into the clouds like living meteors. Ground forces look up in terror as a rain of death descends, their desperate roars echoing through the sky. Gunfire and explosions tear through the underground facility. Guards scramble to hold the line, desperate to protect the 30 presidents within as the air thickens with panic and blood. The sudden assault leaves the guards trembling in shock. Watching the panic, the silver-haired queen crosses her arms and scoffs, treating the carnage like a boring play. Combat power dictates survival as the red-eyed monster blasts his opponent away. Fueled by pure hatred, he sneers, declaring that killing his enemy matters more than anything else. Faced with the monster's threat, the bespectacled man smiles sinisterly. He casually reveals the cruel truth. As the creator, he holds the absolute power of life and death over his creation. Rage turns to greed as the monster questions if he can truly rival the zombie king. Adjusting his glasses, the doctor makes a solemn, seductive promise of ultimate power. A massive crater scars the earth, a gaping maw to the underground. Amidst the smoke, defenders clash violently with invaders, the air filled with roars and the sickening sound of breaking bones. Trembling guards raise their weapons, demanding answers. The silver-haired queen turns slowly, her crimson eyes filled with disdain, deeming the dying men unworthy of her words. Hand over Professor Jamie or die. The queen issues her ultimatum. Roaring in defiance, the guard launches a suicidal charge, trying to defend their dignity against impending death. No miracle occurs. The charge is instantly crushed by absolute power. Survivors break down in terror, screaming as they desperately unload their weapons at the invincible figure in vain. Bullets bounce off her like rain, leaving not a scratch. Sneering at the frailty of human tech, she swings her crimson blade, slicing the air with a deadly arc of light. The expected self-destruction fails. Only red energy blades tear through the defense. Facing the shocked doctor, the invader coldly points out that the perfect system was dismantled in seconds. In that fleeting system blind spot, the conspiracy bears its fangs. The warrior realizes he is merely a vessel for power, falling into the abyss with a look of shock and ultimate betrayal. Smoke clears to reveal chaos at the cliff's edge, broken only by painful coughing. Awakening from the rubble, the silver-haired girl's eyes burn with vengeance as she hisses a single name: Professor Jamie. Meanwhile, in a dim chamber, the atmosphere turns eerie. The silver-haired queen turns her back, mocking the weakling who couldn't touch Zombie, and boldly proposes a suffocating idea: use her body as the vessel instead. The scene freezes on her standing in the void, looking down on everything. This silver-haired blood queen radiates a terrifying aura of absolute confidence and danger. On the desolate wasteland, two powerhouses clash. Facing the arrogant zombie king, Queen Red, surrounded by crimson curses, doesn't back down but issues a scornful challenge. You want to compare strength? Just try me. Before the words settle, a black shadow flashes through the rain. Red's attacks are like a violent storm, each strike packing devastating power, instantly blasting her opponent away and shocking the onlookers. A thunderous boom echoes as the ground shatters upon impact. The blasted zombie king is struck with horror. The terrifying force rivals Zombie himself, and for the first time, fear creeps into his heart. Humiliated and enraged, the monster loses control, roaring to drag everyone down with him. Horror strikes as his companions realize the madman has triggered a nuclear self-destruct. Destruction is imminent. Flames engulf the tower, but then a miracle occurs. Queen Red simply raises her hand and whispers one word: revert. As if time reversed, the inferno vanishes instantly, leaving everything intact. The moment the crisis averts, an unknown pressure descends. The arrogant demon suddenly curls up in agony as a massive, mysterious sphere above emits suffocating waves, completely locking him down. You call yourself a king with just this? Red ruthlessly chokes him, her gaze sharp as a blade, demanding the terrifying truth. How exactly did Zombie kill you in the past? Despair spreads as an even more terrifying giant shadow rises from the darkness. Those glowing white eyes look down like a god upon ants, and everyone instantly realizes they're facing true monsters from the previous civilization. In the face of absolute power, resistance is futile. Red crushes the once arrogant imposter into the dust, her icy voice delivering the verdict: know your lowly place. The dust settles, and the demon who once roared now lies limp like a dead dog, completely unconscious. Only a deathly silence remains in the darkness, marking the end of this farce. The pitiful zombie king, barely resurrected, falls once again at the hands of Queen Red. On the snow, the solitary figure stares coldly at the loser beneath her feet, a fated slaughter repeated. Back in the lab, the oppressive atmosphere is suffocating. Red closes in, her eyes burning with golden red light fixed on Professor Jamie. Tell me, am I worthy enough to be your vessel now? Of course. Professor Jamie flashes a twisted, fanatical smile, as if admiring a perfect masterpiece. A matter conspiracy, one that could shake the world, quietly takes shape within this eerie dialogue. The scene cuts to Violet, desperately trying to stop the masked man. It's too dangerous to meet the king now, she pleads, but his eyes hold only reckless urgency. Suddenly, the vibe shifts. The usually gloomy zombie king holds a glass of wine, leaning by the window with a flippant greeting. Yo. This jarring casualness freezes Violet in her tracks. Professor Jamie escaped. Violet shouts anxiously, but the man before her isn't surprised. He already knows. Swirling his wine, a playful smirk curls his lips. How could trash like you ever hope to stop Little Red? Bloodline power? Violet tries to flee to report this, but he steps in close. The zombie king's eyes flash red, radiating a chilling pressure. Since you're here, don't be in a rush to leave. Why not join me for a meal? Violet roars in fury, clutching her collar to flee this absurdity. But Jiangxi merely swirls his wine, a playful sneer curling his lips. About my bloodline power, Jiangxi's low voice strikes like thunder. Violet freezes, pupils dilating in shock, the revelation crushing her anger. To uncover the truth, Violet grits her teeth and agrees to the date. Meanwhile, sirens wail as medics race against death, pushing a stretcher frantically. On the operating table, the dying man struggles for one last breath, trembling as he issues a final command before fading. Call Department Head Sheen. In the lab, the silver-haired man stares greedily at the data. Jiangxi's scientifically impossible physique ignites a fanatical fire in the mad scientist's eyes. Conspiracy brews in the cryogenic lab. Though terrified of extracting Jiangxi's genes, the researchers must risk it all for their forbidden experiment. He won't just gift it to you. Facing doubt, the doctor grins, raising a green device. Under the queen's arrogant gaze, the hunt is planned. A gasp reveals the truth. A red-haired girl floats in a massive tank. Human greed and conspiracy seek to steal godlike power through a spy. Lights awake the city, but the restaurant feels freezing. Violet stares at her plate, anxiety spiraling like vines. What if I can't turn back? An argument erupts. A woman nearby slams the table, screaming at a masked man for evading responsibility. Violet watches the chaos in stunned silence. 2 months later, inside a hospital room, Lanchi sighs, looking at her weak comrade. The chilies are gone, but the red-level emergency message has been sent. Defeated by a single woman. The patient growls. Lanchi looks grim. That woman didn't just suppress a nuke. She is a monster from an ancient era. Deep underground, ruins see the light. Soldiers marvel at the buried high-tech civilization, unaware that in the darkness, a dangerous alarm is silently triggering. In the shadows, a heavily armored commander turns slowly, his single eye piercing the dark. Department head Qin arrives, and the air instantly freezes. In the center of the ruins, a blurred figure sits cross-legged. Through the rubble, a suffocating pressure radiates outward. It's him, the ancient presence. Professor Jamie escaped. Soldiers report in panic, but Qin ignores them. He stares locked onto the smiling silhouette behind the barrier, an ancient horror. The scene is gruesome. Bodies shattered and burned to the limit. Qin looks at the empty shells, chilled by the thought. What monster created this hell millennia ago? Let's retreat, there's nothing. Suddenly, scanners scream. Qin whips around. It's an energy signature that shouldn't exist in this era. The earth trembles, a withered hand breaks the soil. Under eerie blue scans, a robed figure awakes from slumber, terror instantly gripping the soldiers' faces. Functioning after a millennium, facing the massive hologram, Qin forces calm. The blue projection looks down at the humans, mocking them from the ancient past. Deep in the ruins, an ancient projection emerges with an eerie smile, offering a temptation of power the soldiers cannot refuse. With a wave of his hand, time seems to reverse, revealing the grand blueprint of a 7-continent Earth from millennia ago. It was the pinnacle of human civilization, where massive starships eclipsed the stars, and the glorious light of technology illuminated the galaxy. Whether alien fleets or subterranean behemoths, all were crushed like ants before the absolute firepower of that era. Until that figure appeared. The projection's voice trembles, pointing to the one nightmare they could not defeat, the Zombie King. In the modern surveillance room, officials stare with skepticism and disdain at the comical masked figure flashing a peace sign on the screen. But dread sets in. If the ancient warnings are true, this seemingly frivolous figure is the source of all their calamities. In this suffocating moment, the ancient AI offers a final hope, fusing lost technology with the strongest human body. With a solemn expression, Director Qin accepts the golden mechanical arm, the symbol of humanity's counterattack. The pact is sealed. Since finding the Zombie King is like looking for a needle in a haystack, they resolve to target the mad Professor Jamie first, turning to leave. Meanwhile, in another corner of the city, Jiangxi's peace is shattered. Even a masked hero cannot escape a boring morning meeting. Simultaneously, a manic laugh erupts from a mad lab, with a silver-haired scientist declares success amidst eerie green light. While some endure the pain of mutation, the destitute blood tribe suffers the torture of poverty, down to their very last coin. Dignity doesn't put food on the table. A desperate Lonling darkens his gaze and makes a radical decision: rob a bank. Stepping into the hall, the humans move like snails to him. This heist will be as easy as taking candy from baby. Meanwhile, the atmosphere at the provincial HQ is grim, as a siege operation against the extraordinaries is being meticulously planned. Director Qin leads his team out with high spirits, while elsewhere, Jiangxi and his group, disguised as civilians, sense the approaching storm. Chaos erupts instantly. Green energy surges in the dark, while on the street, an innocent pig mask is brutally pinned to the dust. Crisis has arrived. In the shadows, Lanling's gang makes their final preparations. Heavy breaths echo behind masks. Claiming to be professionals, the hunt for the bank is about to begin. Meanwhile, Jiangxi, posing as a boss, relaxes in his office waiting for reports. Little does he know, outside Zombies People's Bank, greedy guns are already aimed at his vault. Jiangxi fusses over every penny. while the bank lobby descends into chaos. Robbers burst in with manic laughter, spreading fear, their cheers echoing. "We're rich." Watching smoke rise outside, Jiangxi sees the absurdity on the monitor. That's his money. Shock instantly morphs into apocalyptic rage, shaking the very building with his roar. The robbers speed away in their pickup, gloating over their success. Suddenly, a chill crawls up their spines, the gaze of a predator. Lanling looks back in terror. A figure on the roof looms like the Grim Reaper. Arguments in the car can't mask the panic. When they finally realize they robbed Zombies People's Bank, the silver-haired robber's face goes pale. They've crossed a line they can never uncross. A scream pierces the air inside the car. Terror-filled eyes reflect a horrific figure. Red eyes glow in the darkness, filled with mockery and cruelty. Death has already taken a seat beside them. From high above, Jiangxi descends like a meteor, radiating suffocating black pressure. The robber on the ground looks up, his throat capable only of a desperate, guttural scream. Drive! In this life-or-death chase, the driver floors it, but it's futile. Outside the window, the suited monster runs through the air effortlessly, sticking to them like a shadow. "Give me back the money!" With Jiangxi's roar, the city shudders under a massive shockwave. Buildings crumble, cars flip. He's tearing apart the block just to get his cash back. Dust settles. The robbers look at the cash in their hands, then at their totaled car. Despair hits. The loot won't even cover the repairs. This is the price of greed. Facing the invincible man above, Lanling grits his teeth and orders a scattered retreat. Someone must stay behind, knowing full well it's a suicidal sacrifice. A violent clash erupts in the sky. The rear guard tries to stall Jiangxi, but against absolute power, his resistance is futile, instantly blasted into oblivion. While this farce plays out, the alarms at Guang District HQ remain silent. Inside the towering command center, humanity's elite are focused on a different, looming crisis. A golden-armored warrior strides into the command center. He brings not victory news, but a sealed ancient relic. All eyes are drawn to the golden mechanical arm, glowing with mysterious light. It's legendary ancient technology. A wave of awe sweeps the crowd. Some think it's for the escaped professor, but Director Chen's cold stare suggests something far more complex. This is for the true monster. Director Chen's voice is low and grave. The terrifying entity that once destroyed civilizations might be lurking right among them. Where is it? The purple and blue-haired commanders exchange glances, anxiety growing. The enemy is in the shadows, and they know nothing about this world-ending threat. Facing unknown horror, Director Chen calmly picks up the golden arm. Button pressed, ready to go. Whether for humanity's future or an unknown fate, the hunt is about to begin. Just as the tension peaks, the armor malfunctions. Smoke billows from a cracked chest plate, leaving the minion confused and the commander screaming in frustration. Before anyone can react, a white streak tears through the sky with a sonic boom, smashing into the tower and sending terrifying shockwaves across the battlefield. The massive explosion turns the control center into ruins instantly. Violet is shaken amidst the dust, while others are buried under the cold rubble. Immediately, a black figure crashes down like a meteor, shattering the ground upon impact. He launches himself forward, sprinting towards the tower with unstoppable momentum. A faint cry for help rises from the ruins. Violet turns sharply, only to see a figure in a skull mask. Is that the zombie secretary? Atop the high-rise, facing the roaring human commander, Jiangxi looks down coldly at the city, as if everything here already belongs to him. Negotiations break down. Fists fly as Jiangxi unleashes a storm of attacks, each blow carrying suffocating pressure that sends his opponent flying. Watching the one-sided domination, Violet and her allies can only smile bitterly. In the face of such monstrous power, they are reduced to mere spectators. Terrifying energy detonates in the sky, drowning out cries of alarm. The masked figure is instantly swallowed by the blinding blast, fate unknown. Under a sky that doesn't belong to him, the zombie king Jiangxi is once again dragged into a conflict that is none of his business, his gaze remaining cold. Even the arrogant department head Chen must admit the despairing gap in power. In front of him, the so-called president-level strength is nothing but an ant. Seeing Jiangxi ready to kill, Blackie intervenes just in time. "Your Majesty, they gave us this city. We still need this disguise." Suddenly, the sky darkens. An eerie total solar eclipse swallows all light, sending a chill down everyone's spine. In the darkness, a silver-haired figure floats in midair like a descending deity, plunging the entire city into deathly silence and panic. I'm invincible. Arrogant laughter echoes through the sky. The woman known as Queen Red has returned, bringing the scent of destruction and making old acquaintances tremble. To save the trapped Lonling, his allies hold nothing back, roaring as they charge into enemy lines and blasting a bloody path through the explosion. Department head Sheen tries to maintain order, ordering an evacuation, but receives only a scornful glance from the silver-haired woman. Human, mind your own business. They collide instantly. Even against the power of an ancient being, the human warrior grits his teeth and strikes, trying to shake this invincible existence. Jiang Si wants to join the fray, but Blackie grabs his shoulder, her voice cold and firm. Your Majesty, that is their war. It has nothing to do with us. A deafening roar tears through the silence of the future city. Shockwaves erupt between skyscrapers, igniting the night with the overture of destruction. Under the eclipse, the armored figure kneels, daring to claim the kill. But Queen Red scoffs. Such audacity is nothing short of a death wish. The golden mechanical fist charges, aiming for a one-hit kill. Dawn doesn't flinch. Instead, a manic smile spreads across her face. She welcomes the violence. They collide in midair. In a clash of speed and raw power, Dawn's assault is overwhelming, instantly suppressing the clumsy heap of metal. No contest. Flesh tears through steel. With the screech of shattering metal, the so-called invincible armor crumbles like paper before absolute power. The Challenger crashes into the ruins, coughing blood and cursing the ancient tech. Dawn floats above, staring down coldly at an ant that didn't know its place. Your body is strong, but this scrap metal failed you. She grips the loser's shoulder, a hint of pity in her voice, but mostly the cold certainty of execution. Just as death descends, a shout cuts through the air. Dawn snaps her head up. Who dares interrupt her hunt? Your opponent is me. Is that Violet? She unveils her terrifying second form, red eyes glowing like a demon from hell, stunning every onlooker into silence. Meanwhile, the ground battle rages. The pink-haired girl is sent flying but skids to a halt, glaring with fury at the silver hair monster. On the rooftop, the girl screams in rage, while Violet stands arms crossed, cold as ice. She doesn't rush. She simply radiates a suffocating pressure. The real duel begins. Violet hangs effortlessly from the skyscraper, gaze sharp, her blade thirsty for blood, ready to embrace this fated clash. Brutal. Despite her all-out effort, the twin-tailed girl is crushed by insurmountable power, tumbling through the sky like a broken kite, blood trailing behind. Is that it? Dawn mocks with a cruel laugh. The girl grits her teeth, forcing herself up from the rubble, rage burning hotter than her pain. Refusing to yield, she transforms into a blur, charging once more. The sheer speed of her assault shocks the crowd. When did she become this strong? If power isn't enough, use technique. Screaming, she summons blood clones, scattering countless phantoms across the sky to confuse those terrible eyes. But against absolute power, tricks are meaningless. With a casual swipe, the clones vanish. The girl stares in horror. This strength isn't human. In the nick of time, Violet moves. She descends like a black meteor, her blade wrapped in an aura of destruction, slashing into the heart of the battle. Dust settles. Dawn floats, eyeing Violet with disdain. You've gotten stronger, but it's not you I want. Tell Jiang Si to come out and face his death. Violet grips her sword, staring into those terrifying slit eyes. True, I can't beat you. But if you think this is enough to defeat him, you're dead wrong. A chilling, manic smile distorts Violet's beautiful features. She looks down at her wary opponent with predatory amusement, whispering a dangerous promise of fun.